increased his violent rhetoric, Donald Trump has, about political opponents, and in great detail, suggested rifles should be trained on former Representative Liz Cheney. This must be disqualifying.
This is the last weekend before Election Day. 67 million people have already cast their vote as both candidates make the final push to gain voters. In desperation, the only thing Democrats have left to offer is a smear campaign against Donald Trump. And we all know this is the game that politicians play. It's who can dominate the news cycle for that day. Now, the newest thing is that Democrats are saying that Trump is calling for the execution of Liz Cheney. Let's take a look at CNN and how they reported this story.
I want to ask you both about this. Donald Trump keeps talking about the enemy within. Now he's gone a step further. Listen.
She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face.
Donald Trump is talking about political rival Liz Cheney. He just called for executing her. Does this move people or what, Pete?
I'm sickened by it, Sarah, to be honest with you. Since July, since that first assassination attempt, we have heard Republicans, my fellow Republicans, excoriate Democrats for their rhetoric and saying that the rhetoric was the cause of that assassination attempt and then the second assassination attempt. And here you have a former president of the United States, and potentially the next president of the United States, threatening a political rival in Liz Cheney.
This is so disingenuous. It's propaganda. It's that last-minute push to try to get any undecided voters, if there are any, out in Kamala's direction. Everyone knows what Trump meant. It was clear if you saw the whole thing, and not just a small clip that takes it out of context. So let's take a look at that now. Let's take a look at the extended clip to put this whole thing in context.
She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person. And I used to I'd have meetings with a lot of people, and she always wanted to go to war with people.
Now, you may not like Trump's language here, but I think we can all understand the point that he's making. It's very easy for a politician like Liz Cheney to push our young soldiers into a battlefield when she sits at her desk in Washington, having never been on a battlefield before. Would she be so easily agreeable to send our soldiers into battle if she had to go too? Probably not. And that's the point he's trying to make. During the 20-year Afghanistan war, the United States lost close to 2,500 military personnel, over 20,000 soldiers came back wounded, and over 600,000 veterans suffered from PTSD. So going into battle is not something that should be taken lightly. This is what Kamala had to say.
He has increased his violent rhetoric, Donald Trump has, about political opponents, and in great detail, suggested rifles should be trained on former Representative Liz Cheney. This must be disqualifying. Anyone who wants to be president of the United States who uses that kind of violent rhetoric is clearly disqualified and unqualified to be president.
She's calling for disqualification. These are words coming out of her mouth, coming from a woman that never won a single primary, a woman that not only just calls her opponent a Nazi and a dictator, but all of his supporters Nazis, who can't even answer basic policy questions, stumbles when the teleprompter breaks and she doesn't know what to say. And not to mention the track record for the last 4 years as vice president. She's calling Trump unqualified? Let's take a look at what Trump had to say to defend his comments.
She's a war hawk. She kills people. She wanted even in my administration, she was pushing that we go to war with everybody. And I said, if you ever gave her a rifle and let her do the fighting, if you ever do that, she wouldn't be doing too well, I will tell you right now. If she had to face the consequences of battle, she wouldn't be doing it. So it's easy for her to talk, but she wouldn't be doing it.
So this clearly is all smear tactics, and I don't think it's doing the Harris campaign any favors, especially with just 3 days left until Election Day. So I think it's also important to hear from somebody on the Republican side in defense of Donald Trump. I want to show you a clip now to hear Tulsi Gabbard speaking. She also was under attack this week by comments made by Mark Cuban. You're going to see that in here as well.
You know, Tulsi, when Mark Cuban says Donald Trump doesn't like to surround himself with smart, intelligent, independent women, it's hard not to see that's a direct shot at Kellyanne Conway, Kayleigh McEnany, Linda McMahon, a whole host of other women as well, including you, Tulsi. It seems like it's a direct shot at someone like you.
You know, there's actually something much darker that he is implying there, because the premise of his statement is that he believes that Liz Cheney and female warmongers like her are what defines strong women. They are hypocrites and cowards, because when you look at people like Liz Cheney, she is eager to send our troops into harm's way. She is eager to advocate for more stupid wars, but she and other warmongers like her will never volunteer to put their lives on the line for these military adventures they're advocating in. I just finished a couple of days of Army Reserve duty at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and yesterday morning I stood there on the graduation field and saw a few hundred brand new soldiers graduating from basic training, probably 1,000 family members there to celebrate them. And it was so moving. And I was thinking about people like Liz Cheney when I was watching them, because these are the young men and women who will pay the price, potentially with their lives, if people like Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney, and Kamala Harris are allowed to be in power.
So I'd like to hear your thoughts on what Tulsi Gabbard just said. Do you agree with her? What do you think of Trump's comments and what he said during the interview? And what do you think about Kamala Harris's response? Do you think Trump should be disqualified? Let me hear your thoughts. Write them in the comments section below. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.